Hi friends, in the today's current affairs lecture, I am trying to discuss something about Uyghurs. Recently, the France has commented on China with respect to Uyghurs like it is an institutional repression. And even Dutch parliament has passed a resolution by saying like China is doing a genocide with these Uyghurs. And this Uyghurs was in news for last 2 to 3 years. This is not a new thing. But now the internationally some countries and some of the groups, some of the multilateral institutions are raising their voices against these Uyghur repression. And what is this Uyghurs and where are they and why there is a repression and from where actually they came and what is the problem with these Uyghurs and China, why it want to repress, that we are trying to discuss in this lecture. So this pronunciation is Uyghurs, you can call it as Uyghurs, it's all up to you, but the pronunciation is Uyghurs, okay, whatever you pronounce it, that's not an issue. But here when it comes to these Uyghurs, where actually these people lives, these people lives in the northwestern part of China in Xinjiang province. So you can call it as Xinjiang, but Xinjiang province. See, you can observe in the map, this is the northwestern part of China. It is an autonomous province as far as the administration is concerned, and area wise it is the largest province in China. It consisting of around 17%. The area of this Uyghur is around 17% of this entire Chinese geographical area, because these geographical issues are very important. And if you looking into the border with which the Xinjiang province shares is, it shares border with Mongolia, it shares border with Russia, and it shares border with Kazakhstan, it shares border with Kyrgyzstan, and it shares border with Tajikistan, it shares to some extent border with Afghanistan, it shares with Pakistan, and it also shares with India, because this is a Chinese occupied territory, but still it is an Indian territory. So it is also having border with India. So these geographical facts, first of all you must know about this Uyghur province. And when it comes to the Uyghur province, it is divided into two parts, the northern province, northern and southern, and this northern and southern is actually divided with the ranges, and this northern part we call it as Zungaria, and when it comes to the southern part it is called it as Tarim. So it is a Tarim basin, it is a Zungaria basin, and most of these Uyghurs lives in this southern part, and that too 10% of the geographical area of Xinjiang is only habitable, that means people occupy 10% of this area, and mostly they are in southern part. Now when it comes to the population, so what are the different groups that they are living in the Xinjiang province? So it is Turkic Uyghurs 46%, Huns 40%, Kazakh 6%, Hui 4.5%, and remaining is others. So these are important for our discussion. These Uyghurs are, who are they? Actually these Uyghurs are ethnically related to this Turkey, that means the Turkish origin or that Central Asian origin. Their tribe is different to that of Chinese tribe. So these Uyghurs are Turkish ethnic group originating and culturally affiliated with the general region of Central and East Asia, and they are ethnic minorities in China. That too, they are identified as a religious minorities. Okay. Then how they came here? No, they haven't come here. It is their geographical location, but it was in the 18th century. The predecessors of the present Chinese regime, we call it as Qing dynasty. Uyghur people came under the rule of Qing dynasty in the 18th century, that too around in the 1750 time. And after that Qing dynasty, again we can call it as this Qing dynasty as Manchu dynasty also. And the after Qing dynasty, the people were ruled by Republic of China, and after that there was a revolution, then People Republic of China, PRC. So initially Qing dynasty, after that Republic of China, and after that PRC, People's Republic of China. These people was ruled by, but ethnically they are not same as the Chinese. But when they got independence, that means in the year whatever the revolution happened in 1949, after that the China deliberately promoted the Huns of China, that means ethnic origins of China, into this Xinjiang province, because the people who are living in the Xinjiang province are backward people, and that too they are Muslim people, because they are Islamized in the 10th century, and by the time of 16th century they have completely Islamized, and they are also having its neighbor with the other Islamic countries that I have shown. So these are all Islamic countries, both Pakistan, Afghanistan, Tajikistan. Okay, so they are having that border with these countries. That is the reason why, and these people have their own ethnic identity. Now China initially thought like, if we allow this ethnic identity like this, it may not be a good thing for. That is why we need to mix up this entire province, Xinjiang province, with our own ethnic people also. So that is the reason why the population of the Chinese origin Huns is become 40%. Now the gap between these Uyghurs and Huns is only 6%. Now when you looking into this, the geography, it is not something like a plain area. So it is having hills, it is having deserts, it is having steppes, it is having basins, it is having mountains. So this is the geography. So you have mountains, you have steppes, and you have basins, and you have deserts, and you have oasis. So this is a mix of all these things, and the people are backward, but they are having an abundant natural resources. And mostly when it comes to that natural resources, it is the petroleum related natural resources, and also it is currently China's largest gas producing region. So here it is having oil and minerals and also gas. See, you have to understand the strategic importance of this region, because this region is a resource region, both minerals and oil, and also the gas, natural gas. Okay. Now over a period of time, what happened is the demography in the Xinjiang province has started changing. Now it is something like almost a 50-50. It's not 46 and 40. Anyway, equal amount of population is of this Turkic ethnic group called Uyghurs, and also 40% is the Chinese ethnic people called Huns. Now this is the level of population there, and it is the China government is responsible for this migration of the ethnic Chinese into this province. And why they wanted? Because they wanted to contain this ideology or the ethnic based identities, and they wanted to promote a nationalistic ideas. That is the reason why they have promoted. It is a state sponsored migration type. It is a state sponsored migration. Now during the course of time, what happened? See, from 1990s to 2010, lot of conflicts happened in this region. Anyway, these are ethnically different, and in the year 1955 itself, the China has given autonomous provincial status, because they have some sort of autonomy in administration. But till recently, China have not exploited the resources in the western part. Suppose if you see the Chinese development mostly happened in eastern area. If you really looking into this eastern coastal area is more developed compared to this western part, because western part is less exploited. See, there are resources, but it take a lot of time for China to getting into that. That is the reason why eastern part of China is developed compared to the western part. Western part is completely backward. Okay. Now, in the 1990s to 2010, some separatist movement has started in this region, because they are not ethnically related, and that too these are the Muslim people, and they are having some relation. That means they are having some geographical proximity with the neighboring countries, that to neighboring Muslim countries. Now, there is a movement called East Turkestan movement, independent movement. This was started. So, what is the East Turkestan independent movement? East Turkestan is nothing but Uyghurs. So, Uyghurs want an independent. That independent movement has started, and separatist forces are also started, and there is a conflict between this ethnic Uyghurs and also Huns. There is a conflict started between this ethnic Uyghurs and Huns, and also the radical Islam forces or the radical Islam ideas have also started increasing in this region, and even occasional terrorist attacks are also started. And after that, China has taken a serious steps, and China consider all these activities as terrorist activities. Now, China want to contain these things. So, how China contains? And the main actually roadmap was started earlier, but from 2015 onwards, it was estimated like more than 1 million Uyghurs, and according to some estimate it is around 1.5 million, and 1.5 million Uyghurs are put behind the bars without trial. So, why? Because these people are succumbed to these terrorist activities, and at the same time China wanted to inculcate a nationalistic ideology, and if we allow them, it is not possible, and they may become threat to the sovereignty to the China. So, that is the reason why they started in the year 2015 by imprisoning the more and more Uyghurs, and some estimates is something like more than 1 million, and some other estimate says like it is more than 1.5 million. Now, this mass state sponsored government policies has promoted a cultural unity and punishing certain expressions of Uyghur identity, and from there they have started harsh response to separatism, and these people has raised more and more, and they have started showing their own identical they have started their own identities, and that is the reason why China has completely come up in the year 2015 with this program. And prior to this 2015 program, China has started mass surveillance on these people. So, first of all, it is doing mass surveillance, and after that they have started incarcerating without trial, and now the China famously calling it as re-education camps. So, China don't use the term of mass surveillance and incarcerating, but China only uses re-education. Now, these re-education camps have started in different parts. Now, China started bringing all these Uyghurs, and they have started re-educating here. Now, if you ask the China why you are doing this, and China says like, I am giving a vocational training to these people so that I can provide employment opportunities. Nothing is happening inside in these re-education camps, it is just a vocational training. But some people are calling it is the process of Sinicization, or you can call it as Chinesization. That means they are ethnically not belong to China, they are not owing the Chinese ideals and they are not owing the Chinese ideologies. So they are having a different ideology. We don't accept such a diversity and they must adhere to the nationalistic ideas and ideals. So here they are giving a training in such a manner like you must having the obedience to the Chinese ideals, not as a nation but also as a culture. So they wanted to bring a unified culture in China. So this is the problem with this China. So because these people are on the one hand again they are influenced by the extremist activities that are happening in Afghanistan and Pakistan. So they may started ascertaining their own identity. So that is the reason why China went to this program. But is it really just a re-education camp? Here it is just you are giving a vocational training or you are doing anything, and some people calling it as it is a vocational internment camp. That means this is a camp by force. So they are not willing to join here but you are forcibly giving the training. And is it just training? Again this is a question mark, because China don't allow anyone into that inside of that camps, and the social media of that China country is completely regulated. So you cannot publish whatever the information. But nowadays some of the BBC news and some of the news in the especially US and Western countries, now they are coming up with lot of reports like there is a mass human rights violation happening in these camps. So there actually the issue started. Suppose you are this is an internal issue of China and China wanted to inculcate some nationalistic ideas and ideologies to these Uyghur people because they may have affected with these radical Islamist ideas, or they are ascertaining their own regional identity that China don't want because it is threat to their country's security and integrity, and you wanted to do these things. But if it is a vocational training and if you really making them employable, it's fine. But the recent reports are saying it is not a vocational training. Maybe something's happening, but a mass human rights violations are happening here and they are mistreating these people, and there is a mass rape and torture is happening here, and some people are even coined to such an extent of genocide. This is what some reports are coming in the Western countries, and no one knows what is happening there. Now the China has to come and China has to say and China has to show openly what exactly happening in that camps. And some people started comparing these educational internment camps with the concentration camps of the Hitler. But at the same time some other countries are silent on this issue, because if they speak against the China, they may lose the prospects with the China both politically and also economically. So that is the reason. Now the point is, why actually China want to suppress these people if these reports are correct, and most of the people are saying it's correct. So why China want to stringently down these people? What is the reason? Are these people really become threat to the Chinese security? Are the terrorist groups are increasing in these people? Or the China is having some more interest apart from these people? Because maybe China is having some sort of interest with that geographical area, because I have already told you it is a rich mineral resources region, and also lot of oil reserves are there and natural gas reserves are also there. Maybe China is having a different interest here. So now if these people started ascertaining their own identity and if they create law and order problem or some other issues, it is very difficult to develop that area. And if you see, the Chinese developmental projects, and this has become the center for the entire Chinese developmental projects. Because now China is not only developing its internally, but with this concept of belt and road. And here if you observe, this is the actually the age old silk trade route. This is, now they wanted to revive this age old silk trade route. Now they are laying the roads, they are laying the railway lines, and even through the belt also they are connecting. See, this is a road, again this is a belt. So in this entire connectivity, this Xinjiang province is a very important region for China. So that is the reason why they wanted to have a stable conditions in the Xinjiang provinces. And suppose if China has started connecting either with the roads or with the rails, and the projects is runs up to Europe, so through Central Asia and to the Middle Eastern and to the European countries. So they are starting mass projects, and you can see the CPEC corridor, yes, is ultimately ends here only. So that is the reason why it is strategically important for China if at all China want to connect with the Western countries. Suppose if this connectivity is over, China can have the dominant influence in the western part of China, mostly in Central Asia and also to some extent in Middle Eastern. Now China wanted to do that. It is a resource rich region is one aspect. The second part is, it is a nerve center for Chinese ambitious programs. So what is that ambitious program? To move towards the west side. Now China is doing all these relations and all these movements from here, eastern part, because it is a developed area and will have lot of facilities. But now China want to develop these parts also, so that it will be easy access for the China to connect with other countries. Now what China is arguing is, now United States of America and with some of the Western allies are accusing of China of human rights violation, not because China is actually doing human rights violation, but United States of America don't want the China to move in the western direction. In order to stop the movement of China towards the west, because if China moves towards the west, then they can have their own dominance in Central Asia and other countries, and United States of America don't want that, because USA want to control these countries. Because of that reason, the USA is accusing China of all these things. This is what China is arguing. Whatever may be the argument from United States of America side and China side, but some of the international reports, and even they wanted to place this issue in United Nations Security Council, but because of the China is a permanent member and they are unable to place this here. But some of the human rights bodies and some of the organizations for organization of Islamic countries or Islamic cooperation, and even countries like Australia, UK, Canada, France and Dutch, all these countries are opposing. Like there is some mass human rights violations are happening in China. But some of the groups are supporting China. No, we can't say, like, we don't have any full evidence to say like China is mistreating the people and they are going for a lot of human right violation. So these groups are again completely vertically divided. And the close friend of China, Pakistan, and when something happened to Muslims anywhere in the world, these countries will try to react, but the Pakistan here saying like, no, we don't have a full evidence what is happening there. It is not my internal affairs. So why should I respond? Because China is having its own relations with the Pakistan and they don't want to change that relations. So in that way, that mass human rights violations are happening here. So what I want to say finally here is, here we are not here to judge whether something is happening or not. But when some serious human rights violations are happening against the ethnic minorities in any country, you have to be very clear about that region, about their ethnic origin, and about the importance of that geographical area, both strategically and also when it comes to economically. And what exactly the problem? Are they ascertaining any religious or any regional identity or any ethnic identity? And what the governments of that country are doing, and how it is going to impact the other aspects of our own country. And here in this case, India is silent about this. India has not openly criticized the China, like China is going for this mass suppression of the people's human rights, because every country wanted, like, because every, see, this ethnic minorities question is there in every country. Suppose take the case of India, some of the international organizations, they are good at criticizing the people of Jammu and Kashmir. Even some of the international groups are supporting some of the minorities of the northeastern India. So as a sovereign country, if at all they want to protect their sovereignty, they will take some decisions. But those decisions should not be to such an extent of a mass human rights violation. And but United States and other countries are not so interested in discussing these issues, though some of the groups are making it public. Okay, so there is no direct conflict between this India and these issues, but the geography itself is connected with the India. But that land is not with us, but it is in occupation of some of the foreign countries like China and Pakistan has given that to again China. But the point, you need to understand some of the factual information about this issue, how they have comes under the rule of China over a period of time, and it was autonomous in 1955, and there was a government sponsored mass migration happened here in order to reduce that ethnical identities, and now they wanted to promote a national identity. So generally you don't get any mains question on this because it is not directly related to our country, but when it comes to the prelims you will get questions. And whenever you are writing an essay or whenever you are writing about any ethnic minority human rights violation, you can quote this also, because UPSC is asking about these minorities in some parts of the country. Okay, so whether it is about Rohingyas, or whether it is about Houthis of Yemen, or whether it is about the Uyghurs, or whether it is about the Kurdish. So like you will get questions on these things, and whenever you are getting into that question, you have to be very clear about that geographical aspects of that area and the bordering countries. Okay, just have an idea on this issue. Thank you.